Bengaluru boys, because I know the unbox is happening right now as we speak, which we'll show you later on our platform. In fact, we've already put some fascinating shots out from there. Our boys are already at the Chinnaswamy. They're seeing the fireworks go off, the light works from DNA, Virat Kohli throw balls into the crowd, him hugging Phil Salt. There's all happening outside the Chinnaswamy, in the Chinnaswamy, I should say, right now. And we'll talk about that in just a bit. But my beloved RCB, let's put the fact file out right now. Rajat Patidar is being christened as the new captain at the Chinnaswamy. He takes over from Faf du Plessis. Yes, he has Virat Kohli to help him on the field, but only time will tell how he goes about in his debut season as a captain. Fourth last year, Andy Flower remains as a head coach, and of course he's got the likes of Dinesh Karthik to help him. They've added Omkar Salvi as their bowling coach, so it'll be interesting to see how RCB go about their business. They start against KKR, then they go to Chennai, then they have GT at home, then MI away, and then DC at home. That's a fucking 5 games which are fire games. And look at their record since 2022. Not so bad. They've won more than they've lost, but we'll get into some of the talking points right now. Akshay, it's only fair that I start with you, mate. Isala! Cup Namde. 100% it's happening, bro. When are we going to see it? Surely the stars are aligned. Number 18, for 18. We're not 18, but we can feel 18.
We can just feel, abhi aur kya bolo? Because when I look at Mike Hesson, and if you remember first ever episode of One Mind, he was like, RCB should win IPL 2025. और फिर टीम प्रीव्यू में जाके उनको 9th पे डाल दिया, तो फिर बचना, it's hard. So I get it. It's one of those sides that is definitely going to divide or polarize opinion, which has always been the case with RCB, but this time even more so. Again, it's hard for me to also separate bias. Jitna bhi objective hona chaho, there will always be a bit of bias that creeps in. But the more I look at it, I'll have to say I like the look of the bowling attack. I really think this is one of their best pace attacks, and it is something that could actually do well at the Chinnaswamy if the conditions are in their favor. That if being the operative word in this entire statement. But all in all, I still have my hopes up. Trophy ka main nahi socha. I always think of top 4 and take it from there. I think this is a side that can really, push for that top 4 spot. So fingers crossed they can do well.
But this is not like football where top 4 you get Champions League qualification, bro. Like, no one remembers top 4 in 50 years' time. They'll remember who won the goddamn thing. That's why CSK and MI can be happy about their trophies. I know we keep saying loyalty to be the comfort cushion, and that's what helps us sleep at night. But surely you think this squad that they picked in the auction is better than what they picked last year in terms of what they finished last year with being 4th and all of that stuff. So if you think they have a really good bowling lineup, what is it? And I'll start with you in terms of the bowling depth, and then we'll talk about the batting with Knicks.
Oh yeah, and fuck the finish. Last year they to ye squad upgrade hai, upgrade ka massive upgrade. Last year no one, including us, gave a chance.
You're saying it's a massive upgrade beyond belief.
So we basically moved on from a bowling attack that had Alzari, Joseph, Lockie, Ferguson, Akashdeep, Mohammad Siraj. I'm forgetting who else if I missed out any. Tom Curran, of course. 2, Yash Dayal, Hazelwood. Who else am I forgetting now? Yash Dayal, Hazelwood, Raseek Dar. कौन है चौथा पेसर? कौन है? मैं भूल रहा है, किसी को तो भूल रहा है. But
ग्राफिक भी लगा दी.
Bhuvneshwar Kumar, of course. Bhuvneshwar Kumar को ही भूल गया. So again, in terms of the pace attack, definitely a huge step up, and it also seems to be a very clear indication of how RCB wants to play. What's the style of cricket that they're looking for, and importantly, what kind of surfaces that can we expect at the Chinnaswamy? Something even Hesson alluded to in his preview. The surfaces that they played on in the latter half of the season at the Chinnaswamy, where they played their games against Gujarat, against Delhi, and against Chennai. I know Chennai was still on the higher scoring side, but the surface had something in it for the bowlers. That was important. Gujarat, the surface had plenty in it for the bowlers. Delhi again, same thing. A bit of nip, a bit of a bit of greenery on the top. That's all that's needed, and that's where I think if they do something like that, they have the batting lineup to sort of negate whatever is there on the surface, and they have the bowlers to extract whatever juice will be available on the surface. Spinners is where my biggest issue is. They don't have too many. There's no variety as such. And first 11 options, maybe it's primarily Krunal, Liam Livingston, and maybe Surya Sharma as an impact sub. अगर वो भी हटा दे तो it's just going to be these two. So that's where they might be slightly lacking on. But like I said earlier as well, if they're going to be playing at the Chinnaswamy, I don't think there are too many spinners who can, create an impact. Chahal was one of those. Once you missed out on that, I didn't know how many other spinners were there. Maybe someone like an Adam Zampa or someone, but that would mean a whole peak in the combination. So yeah, no squads built in a laboratory. Every team comes with their flaws, and I am willing to accept the flaws they have with this side.
Okay, just two questions, and then of course I'll move to Knicks. One is the Chinnaswamy fact or the stat. Since 2017, RCB have lost more games than any other team at home. They have like a 45% win ratio at home or whatever. That's one thing to consider. And you just mentioned it. If we can actually pick our own conditions and our pitch, what would that want to be? Or rather, what would you like that to look like in terms of a green tinge to it, more of a cricket wicket? And my second question, bowling regards, is Bhuvneshwar Kumar for you an upgrade to Mohammad Siraj?
See, they're two different roles. I don't think it was Bhuvi over Siraj. I know we're looking at it from an Indian spearhead, so that way, yeah. And I would, from an Indian spearhead POV, definitely an upgrade. Bhuvi has a calm head over his shoulders. He's someone who's a lot more experienced, so he can shepherd the youngsters. So that way, I think he's an upgrade just in terms of experience and the ability to lead the bowling attack. But in terms of bowling value, I'm expecting Bhuvi to bowl 3 to 4 overs in the first 7 innings. That wasn't the case with Siraj. Siraj was primarily a 2-1-1 or a 2-0-2 bowler. That's not going to be the case with Bhuvi. Bhuvi will be a 3-0-1 or at best a 2-1-1 bowler. So, alag hi hai. So, it's not a like for like replacement. And I'm happy with Bhuvi's purchase. Can definitely, we know Chinnaswamy moves under lights, especially with the new ball. If Bhuvi can move it both ways and get even a few wickets, I'm more than happy to see that happen.
And remember, Bhuvi made his T20 debut in Bangalore. We remember that game against Pakistan where he literally, I was in the end stand and I could see it from the back of my seat where he just swing indeed. And it's funny how life is because literally Siraj has moved to GT, which had Shami. Shami's moved to Hyderabad, which had Bhuvi. And Bhuvi's moved to RCB, which is literally that little holy trinity, if you have to call it that way. Nix, on to you then, because look, we can all joke about RCB and how bad they've been across the 17 seasons. But I'm surely thinking the last 3 years they've gone from strength to strength. Is that fine for me to say? And how do you look at it from not a CSK lens, but a neutral cricket expert lens?
I think they're definitely on the upward curve, if you honestly ask me, in terms of how clear roles are and how less dependent you are on a certain type of department. So I think that is a good change, and I think that's what every franchise would want to hope to. Okay, if there are dependencies, we gradually get to a stage where we become even. It's very unlikely you will always be even because auction dynamics, plenty of things happen for you to not get to that stage. So if I come to this season, I think almost most points are well covered by Akshay. I think the team has very high ceiling, but that ceiling depends on certain individuals to really have massive, massive seasons. So, plenty will also be played in terms of role by the home menu, as Akshay said. I would personally want some grass because if there is no grass, I don't know how this bowling lineup will shape up. They have people who can do the job, but then again, you don't want it to be either कुछ भी डाल ले नहीं चलेगा. You don't want to get into that stage as a team because then how do you plan? You cannot plan for a venue like that. So I'm hoping that is something that comes to fruition. Eventually, it will be between Punjab and RCB that they could potentially be fighting for that fourth or fifth spot is what I feel because I feel both those teams are very similar in terms of the personnel that they have and the unpredictability with them and the form of certain key players, whether it is Phil Salt. If it was Maxwell, Prab, Josh for Punjab, it is Phil Salt, Liam Livingston. You don't know. With Team David, you don't know how they'll eventually function in that lineup. So that's where I feel, and I completely agree with Akshay that their power play is sorted. It's the middle overs where I feel teams are going to just line up because Prunal Pandya and Livingston are not the people that teams are going to be worried about. They play a good supporting acts with aggressives around them. So I think that's where maybe Josh Hazelwood's role will become massively important. That you bowl three with Bhuvi up top, bowl two of Yash, maybe bowl one of Krunal, hold Hazelwood back for key matchups in the middle over. So I think tactically, RCB will have to be very on point in terms of how they go about this entire season.
Okay, I love how both of you guys have mentioned the bowling bits, and that's perfect for me to now take it to the batting depth chart, because every year we think about Virat and who will his partners in crime be. This time, that Kohli Patidar axis has to work like a charm, Akshay. So again, you have first go here, and then Nix can probably back up your thoughts. What is your top six? A lot of people thinking about Padikkal, whether he'll have a specialized role at number one in terms of being one down. Patidar, we know his spin exploits. So what does your top six look like in terms of the RCB batting order? And are you happy with the options that right now on the screen that you can see?
Moral is happy. RCB also, similar to RR, have a good top order, have a good bottom four. It's just the bridge between the two there where I seem to have a few issues. There are two different answers to this. One, what I think RCB will honestly do, which is back Devdutt Padikkal at number 3, which I absolutely don't want, even if it comes at the cost of dropping someone like a Tim David. I want them to start with Jacob Bethel because he's the only other top order batter that I can see. Swastik Chakara and all extremely unproven. So for me personally, my top 6 looks something like this. It's Virat Kohli, Phil Saul, Jacob Bethel, Rajat Patidar, Liam Livingston, Jitesh Sharma at 6. And number 7, I've gone ahead with Manoj Bhandke. This is my personal 11. What I think RCB will end up doing is Virat Kohli, Phil Salt, number 3, Devdutt Padikkal, number 4, Rajat Patidar, number 5, Liam Livingston, number 6, Jitesh Sharma, number 7, Tim David. I can see where they'd be coming from if they went with a top order like this, but personally, I still think Jacob Bethel and Manoj Bhandke as a duo would add more value than Devdutt Padikkal and Tim David, especially if Devdutt Padikkal is going to bat at number 3. Something I'm happy that even Mike Hessen spoke about. Devdutt at number 3 has just been atrociously bad, and I don't think that's ever been his role. He did well as an opener at number 3. He averages sub 10 in each of the 3 seasons that he played. In 22, he averaged 16, 17, but 18 he averaged 6, 19 he averaged 3 point something. So just going on to show he's been bad. So that's not his role. He likes it when the fielders are in, when he can just chip the ball over the infield, get his boundaries, and then get out post power play, let the middle order batters come in. If you're going to ask him to come in the 5th, 6th over, it's going to be tricky for him.
Okay, there's another name doing the rounds, Akshay, and I just want to get your clarity on Smaran. Whether he comes in for Manoj Bhandke, but Bhandke is like not ruled out. What is the situation there?
Bhandke is fit. Bhandke is fit. आज तो अनबॉक्स किया भी है उसने वो 6 hitting challenge में participate भी किया, so he's definitely fit and functioning. But Smaran has been a very sort of key part of the training sessions that have happened so far. So much so that even in the intra-squad games that happened, Smaran was allowed to bat. Usually intra-squad games mein batters are always their first 11 choices and bowlers are net options या जो भी backups हैं वगैरह वगैरह and stuff. Batters never do teams go to batters outside their pool. To see someone like Smaran not only being given game time but also being brought into their intra-squad games show that he's definitely a part of their plans. If not this year, then next year. But makes me wonder यार तुम्हारे पास पैसा था, मैंने ऑक्सीजन से पहले भी बोला था स्मरण को तुम ले लो, एक नाम रख लो as a backup. So I don't know. It's good that they have him in their plans, but भाई यार क्या फायदा अगर वो स्क्वाड के बाहर है तो स्क्वाड के बाहर है, so anyone can poach him if they want to.
Okay, let's just conclude this RCB batting chat with Nix right now by getting his top 6 or 7. Nix, how do they fill the Faf du Plessis void? Because he struck at 164 last year. I know you have Phil Salt, who's arguably one of the best T20 openers since 2023, but his form of late has been questionable. So again, your top 6 and one man to really be the shining light in armor for RCB with a bat in hand, please.
He has to be Livingston. I don't think the side can score big if he doesn't play, because Salt will score with Virat. But again, this is the season where again another set of fans will realize why Faf du Plessis was underrated and will remain underrated, because you don't get bangers like 160 at that consistency, and the options that Faf brought to the table is not what Salt did. Salt can go on and score 4 centuries. Please do so. But what Faf did is something we'll know with time. So I think not easy to replace him. I think, unfortunately, because of the way it functions, I feel DDP might have to start at 3. No other option, because I personally don't want Rajat to come at 3 and just be out there. Because if he's out there and he gets out before spin comes in, I think it is a waste of what Rajat can do in the middle over. So I would personally want Rajat to start at the back end of the, most likely the back end of 6-7 overs, and then that can really allow him and Livingston to really flourish together. So my top order then would be Salt and Virat, DDP at 3 with a very specific role that just go ahead and hit these guys, and play out these guys so that he's there. Leave, something what Badinath did, get out at the right time so that Patidar and others can come in. So him at 3, Patidar at 4, Livingston 5, Jitesh at 6, Tim David at 7. I think that's a fairly good distribution, and you can play around with Jitesh and Tim David's entry point. If it's a pace heavy team, you send David up. If you want Jitesh to spend more time, send Jitesh higher up the order. So I think that flexibility will be there. But I think 7 is where it is. I don't know how much you can trust on Pranal. I would personally want to play Rasik Dar as well in that starting 11 because I feel if RCB are to win the IPL, Rasik Dar will have to play a massive role. Given that I've spoken about end overs and end over options, I think Rasik Dar could play a massive role there. So that is how I see that top 8 or top 9.
Yeah, important name that you mentioned there, Rasik Dar. Remember, we pouched him for about 6.5 crores. When I say we, it's RCB. It's not like I bought him at the table or whatever. Finally, Akshay, just to give RCB fans a little clarity in some of the new names, yeah. Mohit Rati, I think the Swastik Chikara, there's Abhinandan Singh. So do you expect any of these guys to come in as an impact player? Do you think they should? Just some little bit of information for people who are living under a rock.
Swastik Chakara, I don't think will be an impact option because वो top order batter है. या तो start करेगा या नहीं करेगा. And given Virat, Salt and potentially DDP, I don't think Swastik would be needed. Mohit Rati is a leg spinning all-rounder, played just the one game for Punjab Kings in 23. Interesting choice, but wait करना अपने को. मतलब he will be a part of the impact subs for sure. He'll be a part of the 5 names every game because he offers a bit of that flexibility कि अगर batting में अचानक से collapse हो गया, if it's a turning surface, they might potentially send him in because a second innings में भी वो ball डाल सकता है. So someone they can consider. Abhinandan Singh is primarily a new ball bowler. If I'm not wrong, played for the Meerut Mavericks. Or was it Kanpur? I'm forgetting one of the two sides.
But he's played with. But sorry, he's played with Bhuvi and Krunal as well. So which is why that exposure is there.
Exactly, वो है. But again, early 130s to mid 130s. So उतना pace नहीं. So I don't think he's going to start. And given that we have Bhuvi, Rasik, Riyaz, Shan, Hazelwood, who I'm expecting to play at least 10 to 12, if not all 14 games given fitness. I don't see Abhinandan Singh getting the nod ahead of any of these pacers. But yeah, these are the 3 names. Apart from that, of course, Swapnil Singh ko dekha. Bhandke is the finisher who had a fantastic Maharaja trophy last year. So hopefully he could, get some game time as well. Fingers crossed for that. And yeah, those are the youngsters we have this time around.
Yeah, I know. I mean, KKR fans would be looking at Suyash in terms of whether he plays a game for RCB or not. I think he might play one game depending on the conditions. There are people in the chat saying that Krunal could come in for DDP, 1 down, used as a cameo like what Ara did with Ashwin, and then you have Barngate 8. Again, lots of things for Andy Flower and his men to think about. But we'll finish off the RCB chat with our predictions. Again, hoping the graphic is right, and I think it is right because I feel Akshay going for Chinnaswamy as the hero in 0 is true. Don't rub your eyes. It is, of course, confirmed by him. Let's start with my predictions. I think the whole Chinnaswamy fortress is actually going to come to the fruition this year because I think the bowlers can do themselves a favor. It's never been done before. I know it's a steep ask. It's a high expectation from a fan like me, but I think it will be something to savor if it comes to fruition. 0, I think Surya Sharma, because I think the poor lad might start a couple of games and he might be absolutely taken to the cleaners, like none for 61 and 2 overs types. And again, you're hearing it first here. Where will they finish? Top 4 for me. But Nix thinks they will finish in the middle table muddle. So Nix, let's start with your RCB predictions. Why middle table, Nix? Come on, yaar.
Yeah, and I'll own up here ke 0 backups typo tha. I wanted to send backups as the only 0 there. So 0 backups mein 0 bhi aa gaya. So I mean, take it the right way. Middle table model, I'll explain why. Because again, the 0 is why that middle table. I think Bhuvneshwar Kumar, Chinnaswamy will do it. I hope we'll get the job done because they will need that to get into people's lower middle order. Few concerns that batting depth hai, but it's very plannable. It's not a batting lineup that you can say कि हमेशा एक दूसरे को compliment करेगा because we don't know because it's a new pairing. We don't know how Jitesh will work with Krunal. Team David as a potential finishing combination. And सबसे बड़ा Livingston का form. You do not know what to get from him. And he's going to play a very crucial role at 4 and 5, wherever he plays. So that I feel plays a massive role. And उसका backup कौन है? Romero Shepherd. Now, Romero Shepherd को मैं Team David की जगह पे ला सकता. I can't get him for Livingston. If I get somebody for Livingston, that is Jacob Bethel. So that is where I feel that form factor, that massive Maxwell hole that Punjab have to fill, that is why Livingston becomes very, very crucial for RCB to work, because if he works, then they have plenty of options for the middle overs also, because then a confident Livingston will bowl overs in the middle and he'll give you wickets. He's that kind of person. He can bowl at the back end also. He's that kind of a guy. So I think Livingston being in form is very, very important. And the backups, even for domestic pacers, as Akshay said, you only have Swastik Chikara. और कुछ अगर बैटिंग में गड़बड़ होता है, who do you have a backup to? Who do you go back to? So that is where I feel they are light on the bowling as well. Abhinandan Singh, Suyash, Rathi, they are names, but I feel the drop-off is too big. So I think, as I said, for a few other teams, they'll need their best 11 to play every single game, because थोड़ा भी injury हुआ तो फिर backup नहीं, and hence the mid-table medal.
Okay, justified. Let me know if you guys are losing your mind at Knicks. It's fair, but you guys have lost your mind at me as well, so we'll all kind of take it on our chin. But valid thoughts there. Akshay, quickly just finishing yours. Why is it a problem, rather a boon and a bane, the Chinnaswamy Stadium?
Yeah, firstly, of course, the crowd and all of it, we know they are our 12th man, literally, and not just, a namesake. But the surface is going to play a huge role, because the kind of batters they've gone for, be Phil Salt, Virat Kohli, down also if you go to Liam Livingston, someone like him, they all prefer, true bounce, true carry. They also prefer surface that are conducive to pace bowling, because they thrive on, thrashing length balls left, right, and center. Even the bowling attack, it is Raseek, Hazelwood, Chuck Raseek, it's Bhuvi, Hazelwood, Yashdal, all of whom either move the new ball or expect some juice from the surface that they can extract. It clearly means that they have a specific strategy in mind for which they need the Chinnaswamy to play a certain way. If it does, then it will be a hero. If it doesn't, it will be a zero. So that's where I think it could potentially be a zero for them, and the crowd and all of it, of course, being the hero. I still think there is enough quality in the squad, and not the squad, in this playing 12 to about 13-14 players, जहाँ पे वो अपने आप से games निकाल सकते हैं, which is why I have them in that top 4. ये finish वाला तो I really think there is a lot more objectivity. Last year I was honest, 8 to 10 ही expect कर रहा था. They played out of their skills to sort of not do that. So जितना लोग बोल रहे कि भाई ये तो तुम बहुत ज़्यादा बोल रही है सब. I don't know, maybe I might be wrong, but let's see. It's maybe more of a hope than a prediction.
Okay, Cricket for saying, Avnish and Akshay, all I'm going to say is that don't have high hopes for a title this season. Never trust an English player. Many people saying top 4. Look at you guys. Biased predictions, and Avnish and Akshay. Bring it on, man. Because when we're going to be holding the trophy on the 25th of May, you can tell me I'm wrong, but I know I won't be right. Spartan Loy saying, Avnish and Akshay, your bias towards RCB is fogging up your lens. Brace yourselves to add another wooden spoon to your cabinet. Look, that's what I'm saying. That's why watch-alongs with us this IPL will be something to savor. And in fact, we'll try to put up the watch-along schedule later on in the show. We have so much still left in the show, even though we're done with 9 teams. Cricket!